Have you ever gazed upward at the night sky and genuinely, profoundly pondered whether we're alone? Imagine if I revealed that certain calculations indicate 99% of everything that exists out there stays completely unknown to us. Well, right at this moment, a monumental event has just occurred. After weeks of puzzling silence and amid mounting pressure from the scientific community and fervent public interest, NASA, alongside the European Space Agency, have finally released the official high-definition images from the Mars flyby of the celestial object designated 3I, divided by Atlas. As someone who has devoted half a century, 50 years, to studying theoretical physics, I need to express that these photographs have deeply shaken my understanding of what I believe to be achievable. What these images reveal to us goes beyond merely challenging our current understanding of comets and objects from interstellar space. They compel us to reevaluate the very boundary we establish between what's natural and what's artificial in our universe. This goes beyond discovering an unusual rock. It concerns potentially discovering a device, a probe, or something that completely transforms our understanding of life throughout the universe. The photographs became available to the public yesterday, on October 24th. There wasn't any major announcement, no media conference. They were just posted to NASA's planetary data system during the quiet hours of late evening. Almost instantly, hobbyist astronomers and professional researchers around the world began downloading the information. What they discovered sent a shockwave through the global scientific community. The high-rise camera on the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, the most advanced telescopic instrument we've deployed beyond Earth, photographed 3I divided by Atlas at its closest approach on October 3rd from just 18 million miles distance. This degree of clarity enables us to identify features smaller than a city block. And what we're seeing is unlike anything previously documented. Let me clarify exactly why these photographs are so profoundly disturbing. When we study conventional comets approaching the Sun, we expect certain recognizable features: a bright nucleus of ice and rock, a diffuse coma surrounding it formed by evaporating gases, and perhaps jets of dust streaming from active regions heated by solar rays. These represent the standard signs of natural cometary behavior, phenomena we've observed numerous times. 3I divided by Atlas displays none of these anticipated characteristics. That missing element is the first major warning sign. An object originating from deep space ought to be volatile. It ought to be releasing ice and gas. The absence of this indicates it's composed of something far denser and more durable, like rock or metal, or perhaps something completely different. What the high-rise imagery actually reveals is an object that looks almost deliberately designed. The primary structure has a geometric consistency that naturally formed objects shouldn't exhibit. Where we'd expect the irregular, potato-shaped form typical of asteroids and cometary cores, we're instead observing smooth surfaces crossed by what can only be described as intentionally appearing characteristics. 3 separate extensions project from the central mass at nearly perfect 120-degree spacing, creating a tripod-like formation that contradicts any known mechanism of random accumulation or cosmic collision. From an engineering standpoint, this tripod configuration is extraordinarily meaningful. It represents one of the most stable arrangements achievable, ideal for keeping a platform, possibly for equipment, completely stable. Each arm measures approximately 1.2 miles in length, and they taper toward their ends with a type of mathematical precision. But here's where the discoveries become genuinely alarming. Spectroscopic examination overlaid on these photographs indicates that the 3 extensions aren't composed of identical material as the main structure. The central body has an albedo matching carbon-rich substances, meaning it absorbs most sunlight and appears dark. Those 3 projecting arms, however, are extraordinarily reflective, almost mirror-like. They're bouncing back over 90% of the solar energy striking them. That's an efficiency level you'd anticipate from polished steel or sophisticated solar panels. This pairing presents a fundamental analytical riddle. A dark structure absorbs thermal energy, while reflective areas reject it. This points to a remarkably advanced purposeful design, perhaps for temperature control, energy capture, or even locomotion through solar sailing. Just this morning, Dr. Sarah Chen at MIT's Kavli Institute published a comprehensive photometric analysis. Her conclusions are straightforward and unavoidable. The reflectivity pattern, she declares, is inconsistent with any recognized natural mineral structure. The surface is optically perfect at wavelengths as low as 200 nanometers, which indicates manufacturing accuracy rather than natural crystallization. Allow that concept to sink in for a moment. We're discussing manufacturing accuracy on an object that supposedly originated from the depths of interstellar space, an object that might be billions of years ancient, formed in a star system we may never locate. As researchers, we're conditioned to reject sensationalism. We invariably begin by attempting to rule out all conventional interpretations. This elimination process forms the foundation of scientific methodology. We don't leap to extraterrestrial conclusions as our initial response. We're obligated to consider it as the final remaining option. Might these formations be some unusual form of sublimation, where solar heating carved ice into geometric patterns? This theory rapidly collapses. At 18 million miles from Mars, 3i divided by Atlas sits approximately 2.1 astronomical units from the Sun, and the temperature there is much too cold for water ice to sublimate. Surface measurements are around negative 238 degrees Fahrenheit. Under these circumstances, water ice is as solid as stone, incapable of being molded into these elaborate structures. Could it be a coincidence of impact cratering? Again, the mathematics don't work. The probability of 3 separate impacts occurring at exact 120-degree intervals and producing identical characteristics is estimated at under 1 in 10 million. And it's essential to understand these aren't merely surface markings. The spectroscopic information demonstrates that the material composition differs throughout, not just at the surface level. Approximately 18 hours following the HiRISE observation, the European Space Agency's Mars Express probe obtained its own photographs from an alternate perspective. These pictures verify that the geometric patterns remain consistent regardless of viewing angle. This isn't an optical illusion or equipment malfunction. We're witnessing genuine three-dimensional formations physically attached to the main structure. And now for what may be the most disturbing detail. These reflective extensions seem to be pointed directly at the Sun. This suggests the object isn't simply tumbling randomly through space. It implies active positioning, a deliberate choice, perhaps to capture maximum solar radiation or to arrange itself for a gravitational technique. I must now confront the most pressing question, the one I'm certain many of you are thinking about. If this evidence is so persuasive, if it genuinely suggests an artificial source, why was publication delayed for 3 weeks? Why the silence from NASA and ESA following the October 3rd flyby? The stated reason is the government shutdown that began on October 1st, just 2 days before the encounter. NASA's operations were severely restricted. Public announcements were suspended, and information analysis systems were considerably slowed. But I find this justification concerning. The HiRISE camera functions autonomously. It captured the photographs on October 3rd, independent of any budget problems. The information was transmitted to Earth, received by the Deep Space Network, and archived. Yet it wasn't distributed until October 24th, a complete 3 weeks afterward. Even accounting for administrative obstacles and image processing duration, this postponement appears exceptionally lengthy for a finding of this magnitude. I've consulted with multiple contacts within NASA's Planetary Science Department. Unofficially, they describe unusual internal conferences, arguments about public reaction, and conversations on how to frame this information. They feared triggering uncontrolled conjecture. One researcher told me something that has stayed with me. We dedicated 3 weeks, he confessed, frantically looking for a natural explanation for what we were observing. We found nothing. This response isn't unprecedented. This pattern of information control is significant by itself. When Oumuamua demonstrated its puzzling acceleration departing our Sun in 2018, certain spectroscopic information was withheld for months. When Borisov emerged in 2019, despite appearing more typical, some trajectory information wasn't promptly shared. Whenever an interstellar object acts in an unanticipated manner, the information flow appears to become more restricted and carefully controlled. This carefulness might stem from a sincere wish to avoid public alarm. Or it could indicate something deeper, an organizational recognition that we're approaching discoveries that might permanently alter humanity's self-perception. Let's be absolutely explicit about what this means. If 3i divided by Atlas is artificial, if these photographs are displaying a manufactured object from beyond our solar system, it signifies more than just confirming that alien intelligence exists. It means we've been discovered. It means something was dispatched here with an intention we cannot yet comprehend. That transforms everything. It upgrades humanity's position in the universe from a theoretical concept to a confirmed reality. This is no longer abstract philosophy. It's a direct confrontation with our assumed position in the cosmos, a reckoning with our own technological immaturity. Global economies will inevitably be impacted. Professor Loeb wasn't exaggerating when he discussed potential economic disruption. Throughout history, fundamental shifts of this magnitude always generate instability. Religious institutions will need to reconcile their doctrines with the existence of extraterrestrial life. Nations will face unprecedented questions about transparency, national security, and international cooperation. The psychological impact on billions of individuals realizing we aren't alone is impossible to forecast. Yet amid this uncertainty, I discover grounds for hope. Science has consistently progressed by confronting the unknown directly, by allowing evidence to question our assumptions rather than attempting to force evidence into our comfortable perspectives. Galileo faced opposition for demonstrating that Jupiter possessed moons, but those moons continued orbiting despite official denial. You see, the universe doesn't exist to fulfill our expectations or preserve our sense of significance. In exactly 5 days, 3i divided by Atlas will achieve perihelion, its nearest point to the Sun. Its group of companion objects will pass through the region of most extreme solar heat and radiation. This represents the ultimate examination. If these are natural formations, the thermal stress might cause them to fragment, enabling us to study the fragments and determine their genuine composition. If they're artificial, they might execute the Oberth maneuver we've hypothesized, utilizing the Sun's gravity to achieve a stable orbit within our solar system. Or they might release their companion objects toward targets we cannot yet anticipate. The Galileo Project observatories directed by Professor Loeb are prepared and ready. A system of facilities across 6 continents will be monitoring continuously throughout the perihelion passage, despite the challenge of observing through the Sun's brightness. Infrared instruments will seek thermal emissions, and radar equipment will measure velocity alterations with exceptional accuracy. We will gather the evidence. We will examine it with complete thoroughness, and we will pursue that evidence wherever it leads, regardless of how unsettling the conclusion. So what do these new photographs mean? Are we observing the most unusual natural occurrence ever recorded? A cosmic accident so improbable it strains credibility? Or are we witnessing the verification of interstellar technology, an artificial probe from a civilization that might be millions of years more advanced than us? The answer will start to emerge in 5 days. But these photographs have already provided us one indisputable fact. The universe is more peculiar, more elaborate, and more magnificent than we ever envisioned. The most important scientific advances frequently don't arrive as gentle confirmations of existing knowledge, but as profound disturbances that require us to reconstruct the very basis of our comprehension. Whether 3i divided by Atlas is conclusively determined to be natural or artificial, it has already forced us to observe the stars with fresh amazement, to question our own convictions, and to view ourselves again as beginners standing before cosmic mysteries that exceed our present understanding. And maybe that insight, that modesty when facing the infinite, is the most profound gift any visitor from the stars could possibly provide. The most important lesson 3i divided by Atlas offers us, whatever it proves to be, is the vital significance of humility. For generations we've frequently behaved as though we're the universe's focal point, the apex of intelligence. This object requires us to face the prospect that we're not. It shows us that our understanding is a small island in an enormous, unexplored sea of the unknown. Real wisdom doesn't lie in possessing all the solutions, but in having the courage to pose the questions and to embrace the answers, even when they revolutionize everything. What's your opinion on 3, I divided by Atlas? Is it an extraordinary natural phenomenon, or is this the evidence we've been anticipating? Share your thoughts in the comments section. I read as many as possible, and if you appreciate this type of thorough investigative analysis and wish to track this story as it develops, please remember to subscribe for additional updates.